You think too much, feel too little.
Got a German here wants to adopt the country. Fly him.
Nobody puts baby in the folder.
What they put in your kibble this morning? Adrian, be rush.
Why do you suppose I just hurled a chair at your head, Neiman?
Why so serious? This is the guy behind the guy behind the guy.
We've got him, the guy. He's Senator Jeff Howe. We call him Colonel DOGE on this program, looking for all the waste and things that we're wasting our money on. Colonel, how are you doing?
Terrific. It's deadline day, so
I want to bust into that, but if you will allow me, by the way, nicely dressed. If you want to join us on the YouTube channel, Al Travis Show YouTube channel, like and subscribe to all that stuff. He's dressed in his Minnesota Twins finest. I love it. Before we get to it, though, if you don't mind, permission to be a little snarky.
absolutely.
So I don't know if you noticed, it was Liberation Day yesterday. All the tariff stuff going on. Trump in a big 2-hour, it seemed like 2-hour meeting. Anyway, I had Senator Kent on yesterday, and we're talking about how things were going as far as with Elon and all the rest. And she literally said on the show yesterday that you can't trust a darn thing this guy says. He's a liar through and through. Because I said, we're going to save money on Social Security. And I thought to myself, she gets off the air and I think to myself, the left loved this man 8 months ago. 8 months ago, he's saving the planet. He's got the ships. We're loving this guy. Now, because he joins up with Trump to save money, and this is why Colonel DOGE comes in, to try to save us money, like in Social Security and the rest, now he's vilified. They're ripping his companies apart. They're doing all this stuff. One of the things she said with Social Security, she bringing up some guy that 90 years old had problems getting his Social Security check in Minnesota, had to run around. It was very hard for him to get his stuff back. And I feel sorry for the guy. But yesterday, the news story comes out that Colonel DOGE and DOGE guys and their people found 5 million illegal aliens with Social Security numbers and taking Social Security checks. Where do you sit in this? I guess I get not everybody wants to like what Musk did or is doing, but what can you hate about it? That he found 5 million people stealing from us? I mean, you hate him for that? I guess I'm missing the hatred.
Well, and I will take you back to an experience that I had with one of my constituents.
Okay.
Great guy. He was, older gentleman, decided he would volunteer for senior linkage and help link seniors to programs. Okay. And as he was doing that, and he was linking people with SNAP, Supplemental Net Nutritional Assistance Program, he was getting seniors on that program. He realized that the regulations on SNAP in this state is so lax and so wide open that even he could qualify. And he considers himself, because of his asset holdings, a millionaire.
Yeah.
But his income was low enough that he qualified. So he just tested the system and went on to see if he applied. Sure enough, he got SNAP assistance, right? So he brought it to me. We crafted a bill to try and say, if you had $29,000 in liquid assets, you probably shouldn't be getting
SNAP. Yeah.
Right? They attacked him for bringing the problem. They accused him that he should go to jail.
For falsely claiming that
he shouldn't be taking that money. And he said, well, I donate well over that to charity. But they literally attacked him. And he looked at me after the hearing was over and he said, Jeff, you didn't prepare for me for that. And I said, normally they don't do that. They go after the senator bill, not after the citizen. But yeah, they went after him. They could not. And I was trying to tell them, listen, the program, we're just showing you the program has errors. We need to fix the program. Just like Musk is doing, he's showing us that there's problems with our Social Security program that we need to tighten it up. Yeah. And they're going after the guy that's showing them that they got problems. I raised that SNAP thing all the way up to $200,000 and still couldn't get it through the legislature.
See, and that's because you're living it, and that guy got in trouble. He understands it. But the average everyday Minnesotan just does not have the time to try to figure all this out. So here's my point. The governor has come out now and said that his IT department is creating a website that will keep track of how much damage DOGE is doing to the state of Minnesota. Sir, what in God's green earth makes us think this governor in a 3-month time period could come up with a website? How long did it take? What did we have with the Department of Transportation? They have millions upon millions and years to come up with it. You tell me he can come up. I'll bet you they can come up with this. They'll put their mind to it.
My question is, why isn't he doing that to track the fraud and try to figure out where the fraud money's going out of our programs? If he can do that website to do that, why isn't he doing something that's actually going to catch the stuff that's going on in our state?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's a good point, Colonel DOGE. If you have that ability to put and what's funny is this is all in 60 days. How long was that whole Department of Transportation getting your vehicle?
Was years. It was years. I remember just the delay. Still trying to get it done was $40 million we spent. And, it's like the program that we brought up last week. It's supposed to cost us $140,000 and we got 1.8 million into it and still don't have a working program.
Yeah. And they cut out any timetables have to report on why it's not there yet. Well, let's just cut that out of the bill. Sir, let's talk a little bit about what's going on today, because we prefaced the show beforehand. This is do or die day. If whatever happens today happens. If not, it's off the board. Explain it to us.
You've got to get if you've got a policy bill, it's got to get through the committees in both chambers, in the House and the Senate today, or actually tomorrow at, I don't know if it's noon or 5 o'clock, whatever it is. It's got to go through tomorrow through both chambers. Otherwise, the bill is considered dead. Now, it's not really dead. There's some maneuvers you can make, but it's not easy. And then third deadline comes, I think, at the end of next week or something like that. And then it gets real difficult to get things done. But you can still do it because, a lot of people use that as an excuse when they ask them, well, did you make deadline? No, the bill's dead. So they tell their constituents, we'll bring it up again next year. I get that little twinkle in my eye going, now is when we can really make stuff happen, because everybody else things calm down. And now you got a little bit more leeway to talk to people. And now you get inventive and really think outside the box to get your stuff done. But if I'm putting this together, like let's say Senator Howe has a bill and you can get it through your committee because you kind of know the guy, the Democrat in charge. So you're going to get a red today. Is that what it is? Red and then vote on. But on the other side of the fence, they're 50-50 now, 67-67. Doesn't it depend who's in charge that day on your matching committee over there? Because some days the Democrat's in charge, some days the Republican. You're laughing. How do you have to coordinate the date that this comes up, right? It has to come up on the day that your Republican's in charge over there. Well, I had one of my constituents ask me, he goes, you look like you're getting a lot of things moved this year. And they're same bills you had before. And I said, the difference is when the people over here see that it's moving in the other chamber, then they're more likely to give you a hearing it can move. So I have, that's why I've got 15 bills alive yet, is that I've seen movement. I've been able to get to the right people over there in the House, in the other chamber, and get the thing so it's actually showing movement, so it brings interest to the committee administrators over here. They go, well, this one's moving, we'll take a look at it. Because if it doesn't move in the other chamber, it's a waste of time. Sure. Any look at it. All right, that makes a lot of sense. All right, so this is a big deadline day. I want to talk about the budget on the other side if we can. I got him, Colonel DOGE, Senator Jeff Howe on the program. We'll be back after this. We'll talk the whole budget process coming up next.
All the special interests are represented in St. Paul. But who speaks for you? Center of the American Experiment does. Our policy fellows dig into the tough issues that matter to you and offer common sense solutions on education, taxes, crime, and energy. American Experiment is the trusted, nonpartisan voice of Minnesotans like you. We are working every day to make Minnesota a better, safer, more prosperous place. We are American Experiment. Go to americanexperiment.org to learn more.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease, it'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
It's nice to know a guy that knows a guy. Al Travis.
Love having him on the program. He's Senator Jeff Howe. We call him Colonel Doge because he takes care of us by finding all the fraud stuff out there. Sir, I'm not a smart man, so let me just bust this down how I'm looking at it. We're talking about the Senate is looking to cut about $2.4 billion of the budget. The House, about 1.5. Senator Putnam says that was all smoke and mirrors. So, okay, I'll give them all smoke and mirrors. The governor comes out and he wants to cut 256 million or some crazy number about it. But here's what I don't understand. If the last budget was $71 billion, now that included 17 plus one-time monies, right? I mean, we had that surplus. So I took that off. That leaves you $54 billion in quote-unquote a budget. Now, with all this cutting and stuff, this is just old Al, that would presume you'd be under $54 billion, right? You're cutting. That's what everybody's hearing. But if I'm not mistaken, they're cutting from a $66 billion proposal from the governor. 54, even if you take $2 billion off to 62, how is that a cut, sir? What am I missing? Am I not putting this together right?
Well, you don't understand what they think is a cut and what we would think is a cut, Al.
Oh,
you
okay.
and I think the same way. A cut is a reduction in what it is, right?
Yeah.
No,
yes.
This is a reduction in the planned increase that is in, right? So it's a programmed increase that it's going to increase. So now you've got to you're not getting a real true cut. You're getting a cut in the increase you were planning to get.
See, but okay, so how do Republicans, how do regular Joes fight this? Because everybody hears, everybody reads in the paper, the Senate's cutting $2 billion. They're wonderful. Let's clap. If you go from 54 to 60, even on your best case, if you cut 5, that's a 10% raise And everyone's telling me it's a cut. Am I the only knucklehead not? How do we get that word out? That's
That's
crazy.
the problem, right? We don't have, we have the talk shows like you and others that we can talk to, and we've got we put it out in our media, in our updates, our legislative updates, but oh no, the big media, they're not going to put that in because that doesn't go with the majority's viewpoint. So we can't get that out there. But that is the deal. It's not a true cut in what you got today. It's what was programmed for you to get tomorrow. And we're cutting the increase. So you still got an increase coming. It's just not as big as what you had planned for.
Okay, it's just a headache time. I just don't think the average duck should have to do this kind of mental math to figure this thing out. We all want to get our kids to school. We want to go do our jobs. We don't want to have to pretend that we have to dissect what's being fed to us. It's
on an easier to understand note, I dropped a constitutional amendment bill the other day.
Whoa, give me that. What was the Constitution?
What it does is it is to prevent what happened, what actually brought me to the Senate. It's to prevent that from happening again. If you remember back in 2018, or actually before that in 16, it just took in 2018 for the lawsuits to really work out. But when Franken resigned and the governor put Tina Smith into the Senate, the U.S. Senate, that left an opening. And by Constitution, the president of the Senate becomes the lieutenant governor.
Fishbach, right?
So we had Dayton with who was a Democrat with Fishbach, who's now a congressman. She became the lieutenant governor as a Republican.
Yeah.
So then that opened up her seat, which then I ran for and came to the Senate. So my constitutional amendment would say, we're not going to do that election stuff. We're just going to, and I've got to craft an amendment for it already, but we're going to let the governor select who he wants for lieutenant governor. And then we'll have a Senate confirmation hearing and say, yeah, that works. And save the people the money and the tax dollars from holding another election for whatever senator happens to be the president of the Senate that gets boosted up. Doesn't make sense. I think this is an easier way to get business done, and that's why I propose it.
Does it go anywhere? I mean, here we are. You're tabling, you got everything done here. Is it going to go anywhere? I like the thought. I just don't. Is it going to go anywhere?
It's not. I don't know. We'll see if they got any flavor to it. I think a lot of folks, across the aisle, might think that that's a decent idea too. So we'll see. I hope so. I think it's a common sense bill. I consider myself the common sense guy.
I get that out of you. I completely agree. One quick note. I just looking into it, but I saw in the House, one of the House gals, O'Neill, I believe, talking about the University of Minnesota, who of course comes asking for $500 million every year because they got all this stuff where they're going to raise tuition on our kids. Evidently, there are 2,100 University of Minnesota professors, people, that are making as much or more than the governor in the state of Minnesota. The top 100 are making more than $300,000 a year at the University of Minnesota. Does this rile your folks up enough to say, you can stop tuition increases, stop paying your people incredible amounts, 2,100 people, more than the governor?
We had a U of M professor testifying yesterday, and you know where she was?
No.
Italy. She zoomed in. I'm going, really? It must be nice. I mean,
oh wow,
your assistant professor, or your
TA,
graduate student, holding class. What's the deal?
During work. That's okay. One last thing, I just want people to know that's out there. You can look it up. O'Neill was on the House floor. Look it up. She said all the numbers. No one said it was wrong. I just cannot believe in truth and ever. I went there. My kids went there. This is the reason. They cannot hold us hostage when they're paying that kind of money and then tell you we'll have to raise tuition on kids. 2,100 people making more than the governor of the state of Minnesota. I want to get to you. You're dressed like a Twins fan. Are you okay with an 0-4 start? Now we are leading in the division at 2-4 now with 2 big wins over the White Sox. Your thoughts on your Minnesota Twins?
It's 160 games, Al. It's like
Yes,
it's
it
like
is.
running the Daytona 500. You don't have to start in the front. You just got to get to the front. And I agree with you on the last segment. You were talking about stages.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great idea. Is cut that 160 games or basketball or whatever. Cut it into stages and play to win the stage. And then if you win so many stages, it gives you a playoff spot.
See, I think that's a whole lot better than this. The bottom 4 teams all play a series to play the bottom team to get in. I would agree. That's, they should be more NASCAR like. Now, I'm not a big fan of the NASCAR thing because it just changed the old school stuff, but it makes you watch each one of those stages. You're like, okay, who's getting in? It actually does what it was meant to do. So I'm a NASCAR guy.
Yeah, it makes it a lot interesting. And they run the snot out of those cars to win that stupid thing, too. It's amazing.
It's lap 62 of a 500 lap race. They're beating and banging because this could be another spot for me. Sir, I got to fly. I love having you on the show. I thank you for being here. Keep up the good work, my friend.
Great stuff. Thanks,
All right, Senator Jeff Howe. Colonel Doe.